In 1978, there was an event that changed the history of the church and the whole world. Pope John Paul II became the first non-Italian pope in 400 years. The things he did afterward left an impression on the hearts of his followers and on all people in the world. Until he was old, breathing his last breath, his heart was weakening, and life was gradually leaving him. He still stood up before the Lord and announced to the whole world his last words. After his death, something shocking was discovered in his last letter. He passed away in 2005, but before that, there were countless times when it seemed like he had been taken away by death. It must have been God's miracle that helped him escape death, even when he was assassinated right in St. Peter's Square. The events surrounding the Pope make everyone surprised and wondering. But in today's video, we will reveal all of his secrets. Everything is beyond your imagination, so please watch the video until the end so you don't miss anything. A towering figure who left an undeniable mark on the 20th century. Born Karol Wojtyla in Poland in 1920, his early life was steeped in hardship. By the age of 12, he'd already lost his mother and older brother. The world around him became even bleaker as Nazi forces occupied Poland during World War II. Yet, amidst the darkness, a young Karol felt a powerful calling to serve God. He defied the Nazi regime by secretly studying for the priesthood in an underground seminary. After the war, Karol's dedication and intellectual brilliance shone through. He completed his religious studies and was ordained a priest in 1946. His talents were quickly recognized, leading him to become a bishop, then archbishop, and finally a cardinal in 1967. Then, in a stunning turn of events, the unthinkable happened in 1978. Karol Wojtyla was elected pope, becoming the first non-Italian pope in over 400 years. The world watched in awe as John Paul II, as he became known, embraced his new role with an infectious enthusiasm. He transformed the papacy, becoming a tireless ambassador for faith and peace. John Paul II wasn't content to stay within the walls of the Vatican. He embarked on a historic number of international visits, traveling to over 100 countries throughout his papacy. His unwavering faith and powerful message resonated with millions across the globe, transcending cultures and languages. He became a beacon of hope, particularly during the Cold War, urging reconciliation and understanding between nations. However, as time marched on, John Paul II's health began to deteriorate. Public appearances became increasingly difficult. His movements grew slower, his voice softer, and a tremor became more noticeable. His final Easter Sunday blessing in 2005 was a poignant moment for many, a glimpse of a once vibrant leader battling physical limitations. Despite his struggles, John Paul II never lost sight of his mission. He channeled his remaining strength into his faith, dedicating himself to prayer and penning messages for all of humanity. These messages, brimming with hope and unwavering faith, were only revealed after his passing. On April 2, 2005, at the age of 84, the world mourned the loss of a beloved spiritual leader. Millions lined up for days to pay their respects at St. Peter's Basilica. Understandably, there was a deep curiosity surrounding the final moments of such a significant figure. The Vatican, in an effort to dispel any rumors, released a detailed account of John Paul II's final weeks. The report documented his battle with Parkinson's disease, the medical treatments he underwent, and the toll it took on his body. In his final days, he was surrounded by loved ones and devoted caregivers. A Polish tradition tells us of a flickering candle casting a soft light as the Pope neared his final moments. A nun present at the time recounted him uttering the words, "Let me go to the Lord." Another account describes him gazing towards the window and whispering, "Amen." just before falling into a coma. The official Vatican account places his final words at 3:30 p.m., followed by a coma and his official time of death being announced at 9:37 p.m. that same evening. Interestingly, a message penned by John Paul II himself was read on the day of his death. This message, a testament to his enduring faith, spoke of the transformative power of God's love and the hope offered by the resurrection. Even in his final moments, John Paul II's thoughts were with his flock, praying for their strength and resilience in the face of challenges. John Paul II's legacy is multifaceted and complex. He was a powerful leader who championed social justice and peace. He was a scholar and prolific writer, leaving behind a wealth of theological works. But above all, he was a man of profound faith who inspired millions with his unwavering message of hope and love. His passing marked the end of an era, but the impact of his life and teachings continues to be felt around the world today. Did you know he was nearly killed at least 4 times? As a teenager, Karol Wojtyla, future Pope John Paul II, had a close call with death. When he was just 15, he was hanging out with a friend after school whose family owned a bar. A local policeman, a regular at the bar, sometimes left his gun in their cash drawer for safekeeping when he felt a bit too intoxicated. One day, in a moment of youthful playfulness, Karol's friend grabbed the gun and pointed it at him just a few feet away, jokingly saying, "Hands up or I'll shoot." Tragically, the gun went off. Miraculously, despite the near point-blank range, the bullet missed Karol entirely. In fact, during the brutal Nazi occupation of Poland, Karol Wojtyla faced a harrowing experience that could have ended his life prematurely. In February 1944, amidst the harsh Polish winter, the young Karol, then working in a quarry, was walking home when tragedy struck. A Nazi truck careened out of control and hit him. A woman who witnessed the accident rushed to his aid, fearing the worst. Initially, Karol appeared lifeless, but upon closer inspection, they discovered he was unconscious and severely injured. With quick thinking, the woman and a German officer flagged down a lumber truck driver and pleaded with him to take Karol to the nearest hospital. When Karol finally regained consciousness, he found himself in a hospital bed, his body bandaged from head to toe. The accident left him with a severe concussion, a shoulder injury that would cause a permanent limp, and numerous cuts. He spent the next 2 weeks recuperating, pondering the twists of fate that had allowed him to survive such a brutal encounter. This experience, while undeniably traumatic, may have further solidified his faith and his commitment to serving a higher purpose. John Paul II, as he became known, embraced his new role with an infectious enthusiasm. He transformed the papacy, becoming a tireless ambassador for faith and peace. He embarked on a historic number of international visits, traveling to over 100 countries throughout his papacy. His unwavering faith and powerful message resonated with millions across the globe, transcending cultures and languages. He became a beacon of hope, particularly during the Cold War, urging reconciliation and understanding between nations. However, John Paul II's life wasn't without its dangers. His unwavering faith would be tested on multiple occasions. In 1970, even his predecessor, Pope Paul VI, was attacked with a knife during a visit to the Philippines. John Paul II himself faced multiple assassination attempts. The most well-known occurred on May 13, 1981, the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima. As he greeted pilgrims in St. Peter's Square in an open car, shots rang out. An attacker fired 4 bullets at nearly point-blank range, all 4 hitting John Paul II. Miraculously, he survived. The Pope attributed his survival to the protection of the Virgin Mary. solidifying the link between the Fatima devotion and the physical safety of the Pope. This event not only heightened security measures, but also highlighted the length some would go to in their misguided attempts. Less than a year later, in 1982, John Paul II faced another attack. This time, a Spanish priest radicalized by concerns about reforms within the church lunged at the Pope during a mass in Fatima, stabbing him with a bayonet. Despite the attack and his recent recovery from the shooting, John Paul II remarkably continued with the Mass, concealing the small wound. This incident wasn't even publicly known until 2008. A testament to forgiveness. The year is 1981. A vibrant St. Peter's Square hums with the energy of thousands of pilgrims, eager to receive a blessing from Pope John Paul II. As the open-air Pope Mobile traverses the crowd, a sudden crack shatters the air. Panic erupts as shots ring out, and the world watches in horror as the Pope slumps forward, critically wounded. John Paul II, a beacon of faith and hope, has been targeted by an assassin. The news sent shockwaves across the globe. Millions held their breath, praying for the Pope's recovery. While the physical wounds would eventually heal, a deeper question lingered. How would John Paul II respond to this act of unimaginable violence? Would anger and vengeance consume him? The world wouldn't have to wait long for an answer. From his hospital bed, John Paul II addressed the faithful in a recorded message. His voice, though weak, held an unwavering resolve. Instead of pronouncements of condemnation or threats of retribution, the Pope offered something far more profound: forgiveness. He spoke not of the perpetrator's evil, but of his own faith. He referred to the attacker as "my brother," acknowledging a shared humanity that transcended the act of violence. He urged the world to pray not just for his own recovery, but also for the man who had tried to take his life. This act of forgiveness wasn't just a personal gesture. It was a powerful message to the world. It challenged the cycle of violence and revenge that so often plagues human history. John Paul II, a leader revered by millions, demonstrated the transformative power of compassion. His message resonated far beyond the Catholic Church. It offered an alternative to the anger and hatred that fueled violence. It spoke of the possibility of redemption even for those who commit the most heinous acts. Here was a living testament to the principles of his faith, a leader practicing what he preached with extraordinary courage and conviction. The impact of John Paul II's forgiveness extended beyond public pronouncements. A few years later, he made a remarkable visit to the prison where his attacker was incarcerated. This face-to-face encounter, away from the public eye, demonstrated a genuine desire for reconciliation. John Paul II's act of forgiveness wasn't without its complexities. Some questioned its sincerity, wondering if it was more political maneuver than genuine compassion. However, the act itself, regardless of motivation, served as a beacon of hope in a world often consumed by negativity. An enduring legacy. In the annals of history, there are few figures whose impact resonates so profoundly as Pope John Paul II. His legacy is one of remarkable courage, unwavering conviction, and profound compassion. Through his support of the Polish trade union Solidarity and the Polish freedom movement, he catalyzed a seismic shift that ultimately led to the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. His pivotal role in this historic transformation earned him rightful recognition as a harbinger of change, a beacon of hope in a world gripped by ideological conflict. But John Paul's influence extended far beyond the borders of Eastern Europe. He was a tireless advocate for peace and justice, particularly in regions plagued by strife such as the Middle East and the developing world. His commitment to humanitarian intervention, coupled with his staunch opposition to preemptive war, underscored his unwavering dedication to the sanctity of human life and dignity. Moreover, John Paul II was a prophetic voice in the realm of economic globalization, highlighting its disproportionate impact on the world's most vulnerable populations. He called upon affluent nations, including the United States, to embrace a more generous approach to development aid, recognizing the interconnectedness of humanity in an era marked by competing national interests. Central to John Paul's vision was his unwavering faith in the intrinsic dignity of every human being, a belief that informed his advocacy for human rights on a global scale. His profound sense of moral duty compelled him to challenge government policies that ran counter to fundamental ethical principles, irrespective of political affiliation. Whether confronting the Clinton administration's population policies or the Bush administration's military interventions, John Paul remained steadfast in his commitment to upholding moral values. Yet, amidst his role as a global statesman, John Paul never lost sight of his primary calling as a teacher. His writings spanned the spectrum from poetic reflections to scholarly treatises, each imbued with a profound sense of moral clarity and theological insight. His pastoral visits to every corner of the globe drew millions, drawn not by political intrigue, but by a desire to encounter a holy man, a man of unwavering conviction and transformative influence. John Paul II's canonization as a saint in the Catholic Church was a testament to the indelible mark he left on human history. The miraculous healings attributed to his intercession underscored his enduring spiritual legacy, confirming his status as a beacon of faith and hope for countless individuals around the world. His feast day, celebrated on October 22nd, serves as a reminder of his extraordinary journey from humble beginnings to global prominence. Despite facing formidable challenges throughout his life, whether from Nazi occupation, communist repression, or debilitating illness, John Paul II remained resolute in his commitment to spreading the love of God to all corners of the earth. His example continues to inspire us to embrace the virtues of prayer, closeness to others, and mercy, recognizing that true justice is inseparable from compassion. Today, as we reflect on the life and legacy of St. John Paul II, we are reminded of the power of one individual to effect meaningful change in the world. His example challenges us to confront injustice, embrace solidarity, and uphold the inherent dignity of every human person. In an age marked by division and discord, his message of hope and reconciliation remains as relevant and necessary as ever. A life marked by challenges. The story of Pope John Paul II is not merely one of historical significance, but a narrative of profound personal transformation and unwavering commitment to the principles of faith, justice, and mercy. Born Karol Józef Wojtyła in Poland, he experienced firsthand the tumultuous upheavals of the 20th century, from the horrors of Nazi occupation to the stifling grip of communist rule. Despite facing immense adversity, young Karol remained steadfast in his faith and sense of purpose. His early experiences instilled in him a deep sense of empathy for the suffering of others and a resolute determination to confront injustice wherever it may be found. This formative period laid the groundwork for his future role as a champion of human rights and dignity on the world stage. As a young priest and later bishop, Karol Wojtyła distinguished himself as a fearless advocate for the marginalized and oppressed, earning a reputation for his unwavering commitment to social justice and the common good. His pastoral ministry took him to the heart of communities ravaged by poverty and despair, where he offered solace and hope to those in need. Upon assuming the papacy in 1978, John Paul II wasted no time in making his mark on the world stage. His historic visits to Poland, his homeland, galvanized a nation and inspired a movement that would ultimately lead to the downfall of communism in Eastern Europe. His message of solidarity and resistance resonated deeply with the Polish people, igniting a flame of hope that would spread throughout the region. But John Paul's vision extended far beyond the borders of Eastern Europe. He recognized the interconnectedness of global issues and the imperative of solidarity among nations. His tireless efforts to promote peace in the Middle East and alleviate suffering in the developing world earned him respect and admiration across the globe. Throughout his papacy, John Paul II remained true to his principles, never wavering in the face of opposition or adversity. His unwavering commitment to the sanctity of life and the dignity of every human person earned him both fervent supporters and determined detractors. Yet, he remained steadfast in his belief that the gospel message of love and mercy held the key to a more just and compassionate world. In his final years, John Paul II bore the burden of illness with grace and dignity, becoming a symbol of perseverance and faith in the face of suffering. Despite his physical limitations, he continued to inspire millions with his unwavering commitment to prayer and service to others. As we come to the end of our exploration into the life and impact of St. John Paul II, it's fitting to reflect on the profound lessons we've gleaned from his extraordinary journey. His story is not just a chapter in history, but a timeless narrative of resilience, faith, and unwavering commitment to the betterment of humanity. In a world often marked by division and strife, St. John Paul II stands as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of love and compassion can prevail. His courageous stand against oppression and injustice, his tireless advocacy for peace and reconciliation, and his unwavering dedication to the marginalized and downtrodden continue to inspire us all. As we bid farewell to this exploration, let us carry with us the enduring legacy of St. John Paul II. Let his example challenge us to stand up for what is right, to speak out against injustice, and to extend a hand of friendship and solidarity to all who are in need. Let us strive to emulate his boundless love, his unwavering faith, and his relentless pursuit of justice and peace. May the spirit of St. John Paul II continue to guide and inspire us in our own lives and endeavors. And may we, like him, have the courage to be agents of change in a world that so desperately needs it. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and may we all be blessed with the grace to carry forward the legacy of this remarkable saint. Until we meet again, may peace and blessings be with you always.